It's kind of sad that high fantasy settings are boring real-life maps, while cartoony games like Mario RPG and Rayman have actual magical stuff in the map. Yeah, I get what you mean. Where it's like, everyone's kind of just like aping Tolkien. And I've talked about this before, I guess, but like people don't get what made Tolkien good. Where it's like Tolkien was trying to tell like a fantasy story based on Germanic mythology, right? So he used elves and dwarves to emphasize that. But people just look at what Tolkien did and they're like, oh yeah, elves and dwarves, that's what he did, I'll do that too. It's like, but what about the intent though? What does that say about your world? When you include elves and dwarves. And they're like, no, my elves are blue. My dwarves like to mine. Well, mine are traders, and my elves are purple. It's like, okay. But what does that say about your world, though? My elves are green. You know, my favorite elf in any fantasy setting is the elves. They're not even elves, but the Hylians in Zelda. They just look like elves, but I guess they're technically human. They're just Hylian. They have pointy ears, human with pointy ears. I think elves should be like goofy. I don't think they should be like super serious because they're like forest creatures, you know? They're like a part of the Fey domain. I don't want to play as an elf who's like, and I'm superior to everyone else. So true, they should be quirked up. They should be like, imagine how you see gnomes today. And then imagine a gnome who's just a grown person. And that should be an elf. Elves should be whimsical and fun. They shouldn't be about race superiority. I think the ideal elf should just be like, oh, they like the forest. That means you're an elf, and they're like looking at like I don't know a human, and he's like, no, I'm not an elf. I just live in the forest, and he's like, that means you're an elf. No, no. But I think an elf should not care about that. Like it should be like within the range of Fey. Anything within the Fey realm could be an elf, you know. So a nymph is an elf. A gnome is an elf. A goblin could be an elf. Like the real world elves from like mythology. I guess Tolkien did make elves very super seriously, but like, I don't know. It worked for Tolkien. I could say a lot about this topic. Go on. You're free to disagree. I will take it. I want to hear it. I don't disagree with what you said. Okay, good. Removing my hand from the ban button. It's like, hey, I think it's interesting Tolkien to use this historical cultural knowledge that he had from his job. Maybe it could be weird inspiration somewhere, or another job, you know. Biologists making new speeches for fantasy game. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know, you could write a whole fantasy book, 3 books, a whole trilogy, and it's just the whole world could be based around the neighborhood that you grew up in. Like, you know your neighborhood that you grew up in, right? You know what the people are like over here, what they're like over there. You know families around the area. You know this and you know that. You know who your friends were. You know who your enemies were. You could translate all of that into a whole like fantasy series. You could base everything on that if you felt like it. Have I done that? No, I have not. But you should write what you know, you know? You don't have to go elves, dwarves, Tolkien, copy it. My elves are from the moon.